What's up, internet people? Welcome to episode 146 of the FlipScreen Games podcast, a weekly video games podcast where two buds from adjoining nations, this time, come together to discuss the wide world of video games. Video games? Whatever. I'm your host, Max Wright, joined today for the very first time by my good friend and co-host for this week, Lewis Wilson of Crossplayers fame. Hello, Lewis.
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to be here.
It's nice to have you. We're slowly but surely bringing you over one by one. We've had Ben on. Next week we'll have Ethan on, maybe. I'm going to drag everyone over eventually.
You said nice to have you on. We're at the very start.
Okay, so it's in theory, it's nice to have you on. In practice, let's see.
Play it by ear.
Yeah, as you might be able to tell, the listeners or watchers, there's no Pete or Steve today. Too nice weather for them. They've both gone out on a jolly. So Lewis has kindly stepped in. Lewis regularly hosts the Crosscast, which is a podcast that I also used to be involved in. Few years ago, 4 years ago now. Lewis, before we start off and people get bored of listening,
is it that long ago? That's a
2020.
That is a while.
2020. It's
yeah,
changed the way my mind works, Lewis. Every time I think of the year, I think of you. Why don't we start? Why don't you just? Oh, go on.
No, not because of COVID. You're not conflating me and COVID, are you?
No. You're more important than COVID.
Yeah,
you've made more of an impact. Where can we find you and your stuff, just so that people don't click off and forget to hear at the end?
You can search for the Crossplayers on any podcast service that you want to use. There's Crossplayers on YouTube. There's some stuff there. There's Twitch. It's all very dormant, but you'll see there's Crossbutton VR. I had Ben on before.
Mm-hmm.
It's a VR podcast. I've been on once.
Mm-hmm.
Great fun for the one day that I played VR. And then there's NX, the Nintendo podcast.
Again, you've been on once, right?
I've been on twice. So one has just come out the other day. So that's me twice on NX. I think that's the 13th episode. They're really struggling.
Yeah, Mark's trying to get me on. It clashes with the Steam Deck podcast and my loyalties. They run deep.
Yep. That's good to hear.
This week on the FlipScreen Games podcast, it's a big week because on Friday, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree launched to critical acclaim. 2 facts here. It's the highest rated piece of DLC ever with a 95 Metacritic score. Yep. Beating out, can you guess what number 2 was?
Dark Souls 3?
No, it's The Witcher 3's Blood and Wine expansion. Never played The Witcher 3, so I couldn't tell you.
I could say me neither, but I played it at EGX in 2019 on a Switch Lite.
The Switch, so yeah.
Just imagine, if you've never played The Witcher on Switch, imagine someone kicking sand in your eyes and then you try and play the game.
Did you get the air when you were playing that on the Switch that you could just walk away with that and that's yours now? Because I remember holding it, playing with it, the person was showing it to me, they walked away for a bit and I was like, there's no tether. And there's just a game in this Switch Lite. I could just walk away with this system right now. I don't know how far I would have got, but it felt very un-Nintendo like for me to just be able to just wander off.
Mario and Luigi chasing after you. I seem to remember my one being tied down with some pretty heavy duty chain and being, for want of a better word, enveloped in this lead case. I'm going to say it was a big thing.
They had learnt their lesson from when I walked off with 2 of them, so that's good. CD Projekt Red, who made The Witcher 3, they paid respects to From Software over the weekend with a piece of artwork, because real recognises real, right? Like they've been busy playing it, as have we. So for those of you who are at home who have or haven't played it, we're not going to go too far into spoilers in the first half of the show here. We're going to start by discussing sort of our overall thoughts and opinions on the DLC. We're going to avoid sort of big key spoilers about bosses and things like that. For people that want to sort of go in fairly blind. But once we sort of get to the housekeeping and we start the second half of the show, we're taking the restraints off. We're entering the ring. We're raw dogging it. We're discussing the first area of the DLC, the sort of first quarter of the map. It's bosses, it's dungeons, it's weapons, everything we have and haven't liked about it. So if you don't want to be spoiled, then when you get to that point, I'll give you another warning. Hop off the podcast. No, sorry, mute the podcast. Leave it playing because we still want your listen and your view. Just close your ears, whatever you need to do.
In preparation of that raw dog.
Of course, yeah, because it will get loud. It will get very, very loud. Lewis, why don't you start off by telling us how much you've played of the original Elden Ring and how much have you played of the DLC so far?
I have played. So I've done, in preparation for the DLC, I just finished New Game Plus. And so
And that was something you started it from scratch to do the DLC. You started a brand new sort of New Game Plus and you played through the whole thing, right?
Yeah, yes. So I think from memory, after I finished the game the first time, I kicked off New Game Plus and I really just battered through a few bosses and then I put it down and then I'd say good 95% of my New Game Plus playthrough was up to a week ago when I beat it for the second time. So I think when I started, it was around about 150 hours. 150 hours well spent.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
I think I was about the same. I think 150 hours is roughly where I got to.
Yeah.
But I also I'm on New Game Plus because I wanted to get the platinum, so I did New Game Plus and then and again.
I'll be doing that after the DLC because I don't like save scam. Well, it's not. I'll rephrase that. It's not that I don't like it. It's that I couldn't be bothered to learn how to do it. I was reading, I like to go in and turn off the cloud saves, turn it back on, but you might wipe some of your save. And I was like, this is just far too much hassle. Yeah, it's a good game. I'll happily play it for the third time.
I did feel a little bit bad. I did it for Bloodborne as well, but also I got that shiny platinum, and then it then added nothing to my life. But I still enjoyed what I played of the game.
Yeah.
How much of the DLC have you played so far then?
I think, in terms of hours.
Yeah, go on, hours, and then maybe like percentage.
The percentage, I've no idea. I guess hours is subjective because I could say hours and still be struggling against NPC number one, or enemy number one. I think I'm about 6 hours, but it's tough to sort of gauge a percentage. I'd say it in the chat the other day that I felt like I was ploughing on too quickly with what I deemed to be the main story. So I've sort of taken a little step back to explore a little bit more, and it's amazing. You can even playing the base game, you can explore and find new things after a long time.
Yeah, I remember like right towards the end of like my sort of New Game Plus, I guess, and I was playing with a friend, and he was like, "Oh, let me just quickly pop up to this cave up here," and I was like, "There's not a cave up there," but there was.
Not a cave here.
Idiot. Yeah. And there was a weapon in there that I was like, "Oh, this is really handy to have." Like it was like a katana or something, and I was like, "How have I played so much of this game? And in the first area, there's still stuff to find." And I feel like if I was to, even in the, I mean, I played about 10 hours of this DLC, and I'm on the sort of second main area now. I'm in sort of like a great big horrible castle, but still. I feel like if I went back and I really dedicated like myself to this first quarter of the map that we're going to talk about later, I could still find new stuff. I don't think I've done everything in there. I guarantee there's probably like dungeons I haven't done or NPCs I haven't met, and it feels dense, much like the original game did.
How are you playing? Is it a new build altogether for you?
So I went in with I when I had to beat Moog, I realized just before, like a day before the DLC was coming out, 2 days before, I was like, oh shit, I haven't beaten Moog on New Game Plus yet. So I was like, right, I'm gonna go in. And I went in with like the complicated like end game build that I'd beaten it with, and I had like I pressed right to bring out my my selection of spells. I pressed left to bring out my selection of incantations. I've got a sword that does 2 different things. I've got a shield. Blah 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 blah. So I've overcomplicated this. I've really overcomplicated this, and that was 2 years ago. So now I'm having to remember how to play this. So I was like, do you know what? Big hit weapon, heavy armor, and I'm just gonna be a tank. That worked. That beat Moog quite comfortably. In fact, I had to beat Niall in Castle Sol to get to Moog, and then I had to very quickly just pop back to that little Alberniac village and get the little pot man's thing, whatever that's called.
That is one of those words that I've seen so much, and I've never actually
attempted to
figure out how to pronounce it. Yeah,
I've done a lot of that.
And be like, that begins with an E.
Yeah, I've done a lot of that in Elden Ring, where like I get halfway through a word and get bored, but then I remember that actually a lot of the words probably do start the same or are spelled quite the same. There's all the names are the same name, just with different like vowels between the consonants, right? A lot of the time, which makes it quite tough.
Yeah, I've found myself looking at an Elden Ring family tree to try and piece bits and pieces together and be like, right, Marika is the queen, but then I'll quickly in my head be like, is it Mikola? And then you'll get Melania, and then
Hmm.
there's Melina, who's the little
Yeah.
ghosty person who sort of
And then
chums
you've
you
got
along
Margot,
in the base game.
Moog,
Yeah,
Morgott, Margit. There's
yeah.
like, and then there's all of
And
the
there's
different,
Rena and
yeah,
Renala and
yeah,
yeah,
Radan,
Rani. Yeah,
Rani, yep. And then, oh yeah, it's that's the George R. R. Martin
yeah.
effect, I
That's
think there maybe. But still, build. I when I got into the new game, I realized quite quickly that just being big and heavy and hitting things wasn't going to quite cut it. Some of the bosses I came up against, I don't know how you if you found it same as I did, where I sort of beat Mo quite comfortably, even though I was on a New Game Plus, and I was like, yeah, cool.
struggled.
Start the DLC, yeah. The first boss I came across, or the first sort of mini boss I came across, wiped the floor with me, and I was like, right, let's change up my tactic. Let's sort of without spending too much money. So I respect back into the Dark Moon Greatsword, the one that from the
Mm.
end of Rani's quest line, which
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bit of ranged option. It sort of keeps you quite nimble on your feet still. Sword and shield, right? Back to the classics. And I think
Of
I've
course.
stuck with that, and I've ditched the complicated stuff for now. But now one thing I wanted to bring up, and I'll ask you about your build in a second as well, is that there's so many new weapon options and so many new things in this game that I'm finding, like new weapon types, new like variations of weapons we already know that exist. That I keep picking up a new weapon and going, oh, I'm going to respec into this because I want to give this a go. And how have you found that? What are you currently playing with as well?
So I've changed over the last day or so, and I've
Mm.
even changed in the last what are we? So in the last hour. Um, so new. Let me just go right back. First
Hmm.
playthrough, Bloodhound's Fang.
Yeah.
I've a real love for that weapon, especially the sort of the L2 and the R2 chain, where you sort of flip backwards and then you dash forwards, so disappear and come back and swipe them. Just love that. Just love
Anime
how it
shit.
looked. Just yeah, real cool. New Game Plus used the Moonveil Katana, which I
Hmm.
started off with on the DLC. Moonveil Katana. I was like, yep, I still really like this.
Is
And
that
then I
the one where
noticed
it's like you press it and then it's a slash down and it sort of does the
transient
slash?
moonlight, yeah, sort of like,
Yeah.
and it sounds like a
An
moonlight
arc.
thing,
Yeah.
yeah, out. Um, we using that, and then I was reading. I'm not bothered, fussed, to be honest. It did get nerfed a little bit, and I was like, okay, let me just try something else. And I respect and started using the Bloodhound's Fang again up
Hmm.
until 58 minutes ago, when I decided that I wanted to use Milady.
Now we're gonna now. Yeah, I am also heavily invested in Milady.
Yeah,
Tip
okay.
of the cap to you.
Milady.
I'm gonna let's save the full chat about what
Okay.
Milady is and all that till the end or the second half because I want to talk a lot about sort of that weapon and the type of weapon that is.
Yeah,
But
cool.
I am seeing a lot of new weapon types. There's the weapon type that is, and then there's things like there's like new katanas. There's a new series of weapons that sort of all seem to be linked. I don't know if you found any of these. There's like certain types of caves that are like mines.
Hmm.
And there's a whole new type of weapon that you can find in there that all have like a gimmick that comes together. And there's new talismans that seem to like play into these new gimmicks. So you can really like do a brand new build that's purely like DLC mechanics, and it all
Yeah.
works so well together.
And I guess that's my thinking for using a weapon from the DLC is like, well, should maybe use something that they're giving you as
Yeah,
part
yeah,
of this. And it's just a bit of a change it up.
yeah. It's it's one of those things where like you got your classics, and throughout the main game I did a lot of swapping around. I was the pizza cutter for a while.
Mm.
In all of the Dark Souls games I always start off going like, oh, I'm going to be Dex, I'm going to be high Dex, and then I always ended up finding the whatever variation of butcher knife it was, and I was like, nah, full strength, heavy armor, like as so I'm still medium rolling, two handing this butcher's axe, and I'm just bang bang bang, and I almost did that in Elden Ring. And then I just kept finding interesting weapons. And I think this is more about Elden Ring than it is the DLC, but I think it's just like such a huge amount of variety in the builds you can have that everything seems to be viable. You're just like, oh, I want to be like a Dex poison guy. And I'm just like zipping around inflicting poison on people, or I want to have 2 double-ended swords and I'm going to inflict bleed on everyone, or I'm going to be a mage, or I'm going to sort of have the 2 massive hammers or 2 massive shields, like whatever it is, you can just make it work. And I just love that element of the experimentation.
Yeah, but I think with these games as well, it's difficult to take a step back away from what you like to use. I like using a big sword like the Bloodhound's Fang because it's like, yeah, it's got a big sort of sweeping range. It does a lot of damage, and going from that weapon type to something totally different is jarring, even though it's still like a sword. You know, it's still a sword at the end of the day. Taking a step back away from that sort of heavy hitting opposed against something that's quicker and does less damage. It takes a bit of like it will like I've only just done that one with that one there, but it'll take a bit of getting used to using that and just experimenting. But I was the same with the Moonville Katana. I wasn't overly fussed. Didn't like it that much when I first started, and then I was like, this thing's amazing.
Yeah, I think sometimes, and I think you can be put off sometimes by like, so to get Milady up to like a usable standard, I had to spend loads of I had to go and upgrade it from 1 to 25. It's not a unique weapon where you just do 1 to 10 with the somber crystals or shards.
Yeah,
great, cool. It's like, okay, I need a lot of these smithing shards, and I need like up to level 25 of them. And it was such a commitment that I almost had like a sunk cost fallacy of like, even if this is shit, I'm still going to have it because I've just spent loads of my runes and my
I've just done the same thing. Yeah, and
it feels horrible, right? It feels scary. Like I have to commit to this now, otherwise there's no saving and like reloading. This is a commitment you're making.
But I never realized how many of those smithing shards I had until an hour ago when I was going through. I was like, I've got loads of these.
Yeah,
when did that happen? But they're all over the place.
Loads in the DLC now as well. Like I think I saw something out on the streets, and I had give it a little hit until it died, and it dropped like 9 of the highest level smithing stone, not the ancient dragon one, like the final level, but like level 8 ones. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe this isn't going to be so bad. But when I was right at the beginning, I was like, oh man, like all these new weapons, and I'm just gonna, until I find the right one, just spend through all of this stuff. And there's a lot that keeps giving you a lot of new stuff. How have you found like the caves and like things like that? Because there's it's a smaller area in this game than the DLC, but it's not like in the, how am I going to explain this? So in the main game, you've got like the first area, complete Limgrave, and that is an area, right? And Limgrave has all this stuff in it. Whereas if this game is the side of Limgrave, but each area is going to be slightly smaller, right? How have you found that they've translated that, exploration of caves and the, points of interest and stuff into a smaller space? Do you think they've nailed that?
I'd say now I agree that they probably have. I think initially the urge to plough on got the better of me. Sort of forsake exploration. But now, like going through and trying to find where alcoves turn into caves may turn into tunnels. Where is this going to take me? That's part of these for this particular type of game. One of the reasons why I love it so much, and just going down a path that may or may not be a path. What am I going to find here?
Yeah,
it might be something insane. More than likely, something that's insane. But yeah, like I'd say there are probably less unique little caves, which I guess is to be expected because it is, like you were saying, it's the size of Limgrave. Areas will be smaller. There's going to be less there. You can't really compare it to the base game, but I think they did a really good job. The ones I've found so far are quite unique.
There's been a couple I found that I'm like, this feels like, some of them, a couple of them I'm like, okay, this is just that, like I know from the main game, and then you get a bit into it and you're like, oh no, this is completely different. There's like, but there are still themes to them. It's not like there's each one's unique, but you'll notice like, okay, this isn't that thing from Elden Ring. This is that thing from Shadow of the Erdtree. This is another one of those types of caves or mausoleums or whatever. And I think it's nice that it is forging its own identity, sort of, while also being a part of Elden Ring. But I think you're right about there being like less, because I remember the first area specifically. I remember riding around in like the big, I think it's called like the gravesite plains. Yeah. And I was running around there for a while, and I was like, oh, it doesn't seem like there's a lot here. It feels like there's just a big field with a giant fire giant standing in the middle of it, which is terrifying, by the way. Have you fought one of those yet?
Properly? I fought one and ran away.
Yeah, I fought one, died, went back to get my runes, died, went back to get my runes, died, just abandoned them. There's something really freeing about losing 200,000 runes. Because, like, you go into a boss fight or whatever, and you know that there's a little gold thing that's got, like, that is my life savings right there.
Yeah.
But as soon as you die, you're like, oh, I actually don't have to worry about that anymore. Because I'm now, the pressure of losing those runes is gone, and now I'm
the release,
free. Yeah. Like, I'm released.
What level are you? Do you know?
I must be 202 now. I was 190 when I started.
Yeah, okay.
I think I'm 202. Have you found that because I was expecting to get like killer boss levels worth of experience. Like that's what I was expecting. I know, what level are you again? You're like in the 210s, right?
220, I think I'm.
Oh, even better. There we go. 2020. I thought I'd be getting like a levels worth of experience with each boss because of the difficulty of them.
Yeah.
But I'm finding that like the standard enemies are quite hard, but not dropping a lot. And then the bosses are really fucking hard and still not dropping what I would expect,
Yeah, I don't think I've noticed that in particular. What really has jumped out to me is that the amount of enemies in that first area that just take one hit. And I think they drop around 800 runes or something each.
Yeah, not a lot, yeah.
It's quite easy to go around on torrent just demolishing them. But yeah, I can't really think. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, no. Now you've mentioned it, the feeling of after coming off finishing the game, you think almost, right, I finished the main game. Now the next part is to do the DLC, but maybe it doesn't really work like that. Like you wouldn't expect to get like, I don't know, 100,000 runes for finishing off the main game and then get 110,000 runes for finishing first boss of the DLC.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it does feel harder. Like it does. I mean, I guess not in the same way that like the final boss, Elden Beast, and I think it was Radagon before that. Was that right?
Yes. Yeah.
That was hard. I threw myself against that for a while. Whereas I think the boss I've struggled with the most in the DLC so far, I think didn't take me quite as long as that. So maybe it is not as difficult as like Endgame, like the final boss of Elden Ring, but it's tough, right? Have you, was your sort of skirt through New Game Plus to finish it off? Was that enough to get you straight back in there, or have you had a bit of a learning curve?
No, it's been, I'd say it's been fine. I did get a bit of a surprise. The first boss / not boss that I faced, which is not too far away from where you enter. I just kept on getting absolutely demolished by the thing. I was like, this in theory is not difficult. Yes. I know what to do here. Why do I keep on dying? It took me ages.
I think that probably has a lot to do with. I think people are, or at least sort of my friends are, undervaluing the new what they call what are they called, remembrances? The of the tree, and then there's the ashes one as well, where you spend these at the resting point to level yourself up. Specifically in the DLC world. So there's like your level counts towards all of your stats, but like your actual ability to take hits and give deal damage is affected by these things. And I don't know if there's like an obvious scale to it. It doesn't seem that obvious of like, oh, you do this and you have +1 to this or whatever. But it does feel like after you put a couple of those sort of stats on, whatever this sort of holistic stat might be, that it does feel easier. But I think without being able to actually see what that stat is changing, it doesn't feel like a lot. But I reckon if I was to sort of go against that boss that I, same as you, struggled with at the very beginning, if I went against that now, not just because of my abilities have come back, or I feel a bit more confident in the game, just purely on a stats level, I think I'd have a much easier time with it because of that stat. And I'm definitely looking out for them now. I'm looking out for the crosses. I'm looking out for, there was an enemy I found that dropped one, and it was quite hard. And I was like, oh, okay. And I managed to find another one of those enemies quite nearby, and I was like, that's cool. They're in more places. I just need to look harder and dig deeper, and I might end up finding them.
Out of sheer curiosity,
Yeah.
and this is across the whole game, what was your most difficult boss?
Oh, across the whole of Elden Ring. Oh wow.
Yeah.
I think it, other than Melania, which is pretty obvious.
Mm.
There's a lot of dead air here. I think it might be the fire giant. I think the fire giant really, really gave me a rough time, and I respect like 4 times to fight the fire giant. This is the one at the top of the
Oh, you don't have to
mountain
tell
top
us
of the
that's mine.
giants. Yeah. Oh, is it? Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. There's like a
10
load of
hours,
photos
I
on my
think.
PlayStation. Yeah. Right. It was just tough, and it was like the first half wasn't too bad. The first half, you knock him down, and he goes, "Oh, my knee," and he falls down a bit. You do a load of damage. That second half, when he's like, there's fireballs coming at you, and he's dragging
Yeah.
himself along. I really, really struggled with that. And it was like when I beat that, and I was like, oh, reward, finally, let's get to the end. And that reward being now you're in the Altus Plateau, or whatever that place is called. What was that place called? Not Altus Plateau.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Whatever that horrible wind place is right at the end.
Yeah, that's not.
Faramazula. Or Faramazula, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. All the dragons. Yeah.
Yes, that being the reward was not fair, I don't think.
Yeah. No, the fire giant, it nearly broke me.
Yeah, that was almost.
This is it. Like, yeah, it really struggled with it, and it's one of those that I died countless times. And the one time that I did beat it, I was like, "Yeah, take that! You deserve that! You take it!" Despite the fact that the dozens of times I died leading up to that. But New Game Plus, one time.
Oh, I did find New Game
Giant.
Plus to be quite easy. I think that was just confidence. That was just like I was just like bang, 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 snap, snap, dead.
Yeah.
I knew what I was doing. I knew where I was going. I had everything. Do you know what? Let's go into some of these bosses that we've sort of teased about. So before that, I would just like to thank the Patreon producers for the month of June. Are we in June still? Yeah, cool. That is Arnold J. Rimmer, Christopher Valens, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, aka Asobi, Snack You Go, Steve Stompy, Susan Likes Cats and also Boobies, Voodoo Vic, Tyler Dude, and Wakahula. Thank you very much for all your support. If you want to support FlipScreen Games, then you can head over to patreon.com/FlipScreen Games or visit our website at flipscreen.games, where you can find links to everywhere we are on the web, including links to our Discord, where we keep the conversation rolling between episodes and we ask for your listener questions. And don't forget to check out our sister shows, which are Nintendo Noise and the Steam Deck podcast. That's a new thing we're doing where we tell you what the shows are instead of just hinting at them. Thank you very much. We'll get back into the show now. But quick reminder for those of you who maybe haven't been paying attention, this is your spoiler alert. There are going to be spoilers from now on. We're going to be talking about the first area of the game, the bosses, the weapons. So you have 3, 2, 1 to meet yourself. Lewis.
Hi.
Black Jail Knight.
Oh,
what a bastard.
Bell end. Yep. Absolute bell end.
Go on.
Because he's the one that, is just after the first grace point.
Yeah, I know exactly what you meant, because I had the exact same experience with you, as you, where I was like, there's no summoning. I'd forgotten about the Mimic tier until after I'd beaten Moog, and I was like, oh yeah, Mimic tier. So when I was smashed by him like 6 or 7 times, I was like, I'm bringing in the tier. No option for the tier. I had to just face him, raw dog him.
But that's one of those that I guess he's really, really powerful, but like everything was quite well telegraphed. There was nothing that came out of the ordinary. It was just difficult, and just unexpectedly difficult.
Yeah. When I go back and I watched back me beating him, or at least at the end of it, and it's almost going in slow motion when you're not actually in control of the buttons or the controls. Like there, I'm like, oh, panic. But then I'm just like, dodge, step back, heal, go forward. Oh, he's obviously doing that now, so I do this, and it was like, the reward of that armor set, the Solitude armor set, I think that's the armor I've been wearing since. As soon as I beat him, I put that armor on, and I made sure that I had enough. Whatever the stat is that makes you the heavy stat, endurance, just so I could wear that. And I was like, cool, I don't need a shield for a bit until I get a couple more levels because I'm wearing this armor. And that, I think I can see this so far being, that's the armor that's going to carry me through, because it looks cool. It is cool. It's got fantastic stats. It is quite heavy, but oh well, I'm spec'd for it.
I might need to respec to be able to wear it, because talking about using items that you get in the game, I'm still wearing Blythe's
Oh
head.
yeah. Oh wow, that's a. What does it even do? Is that just a fashion
Oh,
thing for you?
it's just purely aesthetic. Like
Yeah, cool.
I just love. I mean, I love Blythe. I think he's such a great NPC.
Mm-hmm.
Love that guy. Yeah, to be able to wear a mask of his head's quite the honor. No, I guess I just like the way it looks. Very superficial of me. Just
It is very
it's all
secretive.
on how I don't look like a gimp running around. You know, I thought I don't look cool.
What's the rest of your armor then? Are you still rocking like full main game armor then?
I had like was it Altered Beast armor or something or Beast?
Mm-hmm.
I
I think
can't
I know
remember
what
what it
you
was
meant.
called. And I was never that fussed about greaves or boots. The items I was willing to sort of drop down to get a lower weight.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think now after discussing the Milady and respecing to do that, or upgrading it to be able to use it with its Asher War and all that kind of stuff is maybe going back to Renala and respecing again and putting a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more into endurance, which will free up one of my slots because I think I've got one of the talismans to bump my
Oh yeah, yeah. You can have the one that's like
weight up.
weight load, and then your HP sort of come as one, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'm trying not to. I'm trying to avoid using my slots purely for stats because I know that I can just level into that. And I have got
yeah.
one that does do that, but it's the one where you take more damage for it. And I am hoping that a few more levels, I'll have sort of have everything in the right place where I can go right. Let's actually use that for like a useful thing. Speaking of my lady,
Mm.
that is the weapon we're both using. That is the new tip of the cap. Sorry, yeah, that is the new. What is it called? It's called like a long great sword or
A
or
light,
light great sword.
yeah, something like that. I think it's light
Which
greatsword.
now, as soon as I got that weapon, I put it on and I was like, oh, what is this? This is a weird like new weapon type, and they started attacking with it, and it is the exact weapon that I made in Lies of P last year, which was the longest
Okay.
fucking thing, the longest like sword end you can have, and then the longest handle you can have that sort of acts as a sword. So I just had
Hmm.
ultimate reach, but also good power. This is that, and I love it. I think it's so cool. I think the sort of like the swishing, like
Hmm.
swooping moves you do, the range you've got on it, the power you can have on it, the stab you've got
Yeah. So it's
is
interesting to
great.
say like that the big armored guards have got a big shield and they've got a big axe
I
and
know who
it's
you mean.
got
The Black Knights,
yeah,
horrible.
kind of like the Black Knights. Yeah, from yeah. Black Knights are Dark Souls, yeah.
They are. These are the Black Knights. These are actually called Black Knights. These ones.
Oh, are they okay?
Yeah, yeah. They dropped a helmet, so that's how I know.
Okay. Um,
They are from Dark Souls 2. You're right.
versus Bloodhound's Fang, which was level 10 because I couldn't get it. That's the highest I could get that weapon to. It it just demolishes
Mm-hmm.
their is it
Poise.
poise?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It works so well.
A charged
Um,
R2 attack, or even just like the L2, like its default L2, which is the sort of piercing spike, which is usually only reserved for spears.
mm,
Or so it's nice to have it on a sword like this to be able to break through shields, and it does such a huge amount of poise damage that you can just like hit a guy, they fall down. You're like, cool, okay, boop. So
yeah.
that's a free whatever they call that attack.
What are you using it with an Ash of War?
So I'm using that base one, but the other one I had, I think it's called the Wing Stance. I don't know if you found
Yes.
that yet,
Yeah.
which
Yeah. Yeah.
which is very cool. And there's also a talisman where if you hold a stance for 2 seconds, you get like a power boost. So I had that for a while, where I had like Alexander's Shard, which gives you just like a 15% boost to your skills,
Mm,
plus the holding the stance for a second, plus being able to sort of and I also got one where you do more damage the faster your attacks are. Um, so if you do like 3 attacks, for example, you get like a damage boost continually, from then on. So you combine all three of those together, and all of a sudden you're doing like 40% extra damage, and you can do quick attacks, or you can do slow attacks. You're knocking people down. Like it's a really great combo. Um,
yeah. Yeah. That's I've not paired it with that. Is it Renala's what were the
Rolana's twin blades. Is that what you're?
no, they've
Oh,
got a
sorry,
talisman.
Rolana's talisman. Yeah, yeah, the
That's the one.
brooch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What was referring to in the first half? when I was saying about Platoon's Fang has a nice big sweeping arc. You can go up and you can just melt through 5 like basic enemies in one. And then go to this, and what I didn't want to say at that point was it's more of a stab,
Yeah.
opposed to a big sweeping arc. And to get used to that will take a little bit of time for me. Like just before we started this, I was like, what if I try and angle up this way and hit them all in a line? Is it going to work? And I managed to not do it properly, and just ended up sort of poking away at thin air. So yeah, it's just going to take a bit of time. But yeah,
you can probably
I'm
put an Ash of War on it that does that. There's a mate of mine was using a new weapon which he found. Have you found the Great Katana yet? I cannot remember where it is for this.
I've found a katana. Can't
I think
remember if it's
it might
a
be the
great
same.
katana.
He was in a lake. There's a lake and a dragon, and there's a katana there.
Yeah, and then I will have. Yeah, I'll be.
Yes, yeah. So it's a another new weapon type, the Great Katana. It's just a big fat 2-handed katana that's got extra range and all that stuff. But he paired that with the Lion's. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the L2 where you jump in the air and then you just like do a leaping slash. If you attach that to this weapon, for example, you might get more of that, in sweeping stuff. You might be able to make it more familiar to you while also retaining the range and the poise break and all the stuff that it has.
Yeah, I'm not used to having a shield, so that's something I'm going to have to get used to. I mean, I guess I don't need to use a shield and have a shield equipped, but it feels like I've got a spare hand here and I can't two-hand this thing. That it feels just daft to not put a shield in the other hand.
You can two-hand it, you just don't get a huge benefit from it. What I would like to do...
Oh, I tried, I couldn't do it. I'll try again.
Were you in Renala's... If you're in Renala's area or anywhere or when you're upgrading it, if you're anywhere that's got the yellow...
Oh no, it's just back in the field.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, because I two-hand it every now and
properly
again to...
push the buttons.
Yeah, you do have to press 2 of them. I can understand that.
I've only got one finger.
I was using it two-handed. There are times where you'll fight a boss like a dragon, for example, and you're like, what's the shield going to do for me here? But I know that maybe the extra power of two-handing it is going to give me a boost, because I think weapons do have slightly higher when you're two-handing it. You get more out of it, I think. What I would love to do is find another, not Milady specifically, but another long greatsword, whatever they're called, light greatsword, have 2 of them and be power starting them, because I want to know what that's like if you can just do 2 double stabs. What I'm saying, I've seen it, because I guess this technically counts. Rolana, the end boss of this area, the weapon that she drops is essentially you have 2 of these weapons, and if you two-hand them, you have 2 of them as opposed to having just 1 of them. And it is a lot more like you're faster, you're more nimble, and I'd like to be able to do that with Milady, just because I like Milady a lot. I'm a big Milady fan. What can I say?
I mean, the name does it.
It does do it. It does really do it.
Yeah, it's such a great name.
If I didn't care so much about defense, I'd have put the trilby on, or some sort of outfit. I'd have worked out a way to make myself look more like a neckbeard. But
yeah. I mean, like I said earlier on, it's all a bit pure looks for me. But if that was the case, like in Bloodborne, I would have used the cane.
Yeah,
that's a cane.
No, that's a cool weapon though.
A cool top hat on or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you're playing it on PS5, right?
I am playing on PS5. Yep.
So, have you noticed in the main gravesite plane, as if you're on the very first site of grace?
Yeah.
On the right-hand side, so I guess the east of that area, there's like a ravine. On the other side, there's some sort of giants, guys with big bellies fighting.
Yeah, I think I know what you
Have you noticed any strange rumbles on your controller? Just like boom, boom. Just like 1 or 2. Because it happens only there.
Interesting.
Around
I might go and
that
have a look
area,
there.
it's just these random, couple of beats on
maybe there's
on the
something
rumble.
to find. No, I mean, I'll have to go and have a look. But
I've not seen anything about it. There has, because that's not there out of chance. That is something.
There's I wonder if it's related to those dudes. Maybe those dudes are the fat dudes are making noises. But no, I'll go and check that one out when I inevitably go straight back to it after we finish recording the other show. But
so it's all that sort of area, like reading from is it Ella Great Bridge all the way back down towards basically
where the church is.
The church in the middle of the field.
there's a church in the field, and then you fight the first Black Knight there. Or are you talking about up closer towards the castle on the right hand side, and then there's a cross over there, and there's a big ravine there. Which one are you talking
So
about?
yeah, if you're coming from where you first generate in the
Yeah.
land of shadow, you're coming out. Great sights there. Bang ahead of you is sort of burnt out ruin.
Yeah.
If you just go straight past that, and the
Oh, okay.
fire person is across on the left, there's a big
Yeah, yeah.
ravine. You'll hear people fighting.
Do you know, I've not been over there because too scared of the I'm too scared of the fire giant to sort of not just run round at the other side. But maybe I'll go and have a
So
look
it's
there.
I think you're far enough away, but yeah, random rumble.
I'm going to check that out. I thought you were going to say, I'm playing on PS5. Have I noticed that every now and again, like the area will load with just no scenery, no
Yeah,
grass,
I mean that, yeah.
or just general performance issues? I did my reintroducing myself to the game on PC. I started a couple of new characters and just started dicking around in Limgrave. So when I started playing the PS5, and I don't remember there ever being a problem with performance of the game on PS5, but I am noticing every now and again like hiccups and stutters and like things not loading in and things like that.
Because you done the same as me and you went straight to what was the guy called? Black.
Moog?
No.
Sorry, Niall.
The
Sorry,
first.
Black Jail Knight.
That's the one, yeah. Because there's a Stake America right there,
Yeah,
and you generate. So that was quite apparent when you generate back in front of that mausoleum,
yeah,
and it's just a barren
empty.
plain, and then grass appears. I mean that I don't think if I'd struggled with that so much, I would have noticed it all that. But yeah, when you continually are regenerating back into the same place every 25 seconds,
Yeah, Fire
it's
Giant
easy
did
to
it to me a
notice.
load of times. I think it's interesting that a smaller area of the game is having problems with this, but maybe there's just more stuff roaming around, or maybe because it's a smaller area and they've had to fit more in, maybe it's just more densely packed with stuff.
Yeah, I don't mind, to be honest. I will never complain about. I mean, I wouldn't put that down to performance. I've not had any issue with the performance of the game when I'm trying to do what I need to do.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
I'm not. I play Nintendo. I'm not
Yeah, that's
bothered
a
about
good point. Yeah, it's not been massive. It's just something I've noticed and maybe didn't notice before, but coming from PC to come straight back into this, I have sort of noticed a difference to me. But again, not a huge problem. It's not like the only reason I regret already playing on PS5 is that it cost me like £6-7 more to play it on PS5 than it would have done on PC, plus the £7 I had to pay for a month of PS Plus as well as play with my mates. Like that stuff has slowly added up. But yeah, can't say I regret it. We're approaching the end of our time here, but what I would like to do is quickly touch on a few bosses that are in this area. Now, were you like me, sort of drawn away from because of the fire giant, drawn maybe to the left of the area, and did you end up in that tower with the divine beast dancing lion as your
Yes,
first sort
that
of
was the
major boss?
first.
That seems
Yeah.
to be how a lot of people are doing it. How did you find that? Because that was the boss. I was really excited about seeing that in the trailer. I was like, oh, this is a really cool concept. And then by the time I beat it, I was sick of it because it was just so hard.
Well, that's. I was excited to see. I didn't realize it was so early, or for me, it was so early in the game. There is a bit of a confession on this. So both, so Relana
Alana, yeah.
and this person, this guy, I have died just as they're about to die, and my mimic has finished them off.
Oh no! See, I died against him. Like, so, Kat, my girlfriend, was watching me play, and I was like the closest I'd ever got to beating it. I was like, yeah, it's happening, it's happening. I took my last hit on like he had like a sliver of health left, and I had mimicking and I had the summoning because I was just like at the point of like, I want to do this and move on, whatever. And they killed it, but I don't think I had just enough time to get that because as soon as I booted up again, I was right in front of the Golden Gate, and I was like, "Oh no!" Like I didn't get
really?
it.
Yeah, okay. No, it was. So that's what happened to me. So I think it's Leda maybe who's there.
Yeah, it was Leda. Yeah,
and I was using my mimic, and it was I don't have loads of time, so I don't mind using summons, all that kind of
they're
stuff.
there to be used, right?
From the first time I faced the boss, so it was just.
You go straight in.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'm just going to get my fucking hole handed to me if I try and do this on my own. And I want to get through it. There are a few occasions where I'll try, but I'm just like, just send in the cavalry, man.
Yeah, I want to give it my best. I want to like go in. I've got this big idea of me being the best player in the world, and I'll give it a go. But there's always a point where I'm just like, all right, I need some help here. Although it does make me appreciate the mausoleums like Black Jail Knight. There's another one I fought as well where like it's just you and him. It's just you and him, baby. He's got you for 3 minutes. You just have to learn that move set and get real good at it. And I did appreciate that because there is a joy in that, but there's also sometimes where like, for example, the Dancing Lion when he's just like, oh, I'm just going to do like this huge 2-point combo, pick you up in the air, throw you down, immediately start throwing lightning at you. And I'm like, okay, I need someone else. I need another dude here just like backing me up. I need some backup. I'm not ashamed of it because there's no way me by myself. Saying that though, I have been facing down dragons. Like I found a couple of dragons in this first area where I'm just like, yeah, me and the dragon, let's do it. And I'm not scared at all. I'm more scared of the dogs than I am the dragons. If a dog gets you, I'm like, oh my god, my health. But a dragon, I'm just like, yeah, come at me, I don't care.
Yeah, I've enjoyed facing off against dragons. I think a dragon was the first time in like the base game when you go, this is impossible.
Yeah, right in the first area
of the lakes.
Yeah,
I think that's the first one I've seen.
Yeah. That's the ice. It's like the glintstone one where like
you need that to get into the Carrion Academy.
Yes, it was the network test, like the beta when I first found a dragon.
I remember you,
and that like me and my mate who both played it, I was like, right, we're going to log on to this session, we're going to beat this dragon, and it just never happened. But then when like, you know, a few weeks down the line after the game actually came out, a friend of mine's like, oh, I might go and take on this dragon, and I've come in like almost at the end of the game, like I'll be there, and I was just, you know, with my spinning wheel pizza cutter trying to cut this dragon's face off, and I absolutely just smashed it. I was like, yeah, that's good. You want to come back and feel good. You want to sort of feel more powerful. I feel like if the game's scaled with you and you struggled against a dragon at the start of the game, went away and did loads of things, came back and that dragon was the same level as you, you wouldn't have that same feeling that you do.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that that's sort of the way it does. The last boss I want to touch on is Rolana, because that was another like it's so quick.
Yes,
she's so fast.
I struggled with the speed and not having enough stamina. I kept on rolling, and it's like I think there was maybe a beat pause at what was at the end of my stamina, and then it's like a two-handed slash, and it just lights out. But I guess again, like I don't think, see what you want about FromSoft and their games being difficult, but the bosses are excellent. Like in terms of design and everything. Miyazaki must go into some horrific recesses in his brain to come up with some of this stuff.
And what I like about these bosses as well is, so especially with these ones in the DLC so far, is every time you think you've got it, you get halfway through and you're like, cool, I know what I'm doing here with this boss. It's like, oh no, here's something else. I mean, that's just classic Soulstar anyway, but like the second phases in this are like genuinely, oh no, it has a fire and a magic sword. Oh fuck. or oh no, now it can be one of any 3 elements and it will fuck you with those elements. Or, like there's just a real step up that's like, whoa, cool. Also, a couple of the bosses or the enemies have just been able to heal. But not even just the summons. You'll be fighting a boss or a dude and he'll be like, he'll drink down a wood flask. I'm like, that's not fair. That's what I do. Why don't you get to heal?
Yeah, and that's why I don't mind using summons.
Yeah. What I like to do is as soon as he starts trying to heal, I'm just like, right, if I can just keep on him and so he can't do it, eventually his poise will break and I can kill him. But every time he gets away from me and every time he heals. I'm really, really, really enjoying this. And I'm really enjoying talking about it with people again. I'm really enjoying like getting into the whole, did you see this there? Did you see that there? Oh, you should try this. I found this. Like that whole aspect of it is I'm straight back. I was worried I wouldn't be straight back. I was worried that I'd be like, oh, it's going to take me ages to get into it. But I'm right back in there.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the things coming on from New Game Plus is that you know what you're going to come up against. And it's nice to go into one of these games again and not know what's round the corner. To sort of relive that exploration that we all had a couple of years ago.
I think
really cool.
That's why I have. My big plan was to play the DLC on PC, finish a whole new character on PC, and then go into the DLC with that. But every time I started playing it, I was like, I've done this, and like as much as I do like replaying games quite a lot, it's when it's like I'll replay a Metroid game because it's 2 hours. I know exactly where I'm going. Whereas to replay 165 hours or 150 hours or whatever it is of a game to then go on and play the extra 35 hours of DLC, I just didn't have that in me. So I am glad that I've just been able to enter straight back in here and be back at it after like a couple of hours of catching up on New Game Plus. So yeah, I really look forward to seeing where the rest of this goes and where the final boss is and how else Miyazaki can torture me. Because I'm a slut for it. I don't care.
Yeah, aren't we all?
Well, thank you, Lewis. This has been a very lovely Shadow of the Erdtree chat. Got that out. You'll be joining us on Nintendo Noise as well this week, where we're going to talk all about Metroid. So if you've got to the end of this and you want to hear us talk more gobshite, come over to Nintendo Noise. We're going to talk even more. Thanks very much for watching. And like I said before, you can sort of find us on FlipScreen.games or patreon.com/FlipScreenGames. And you can find Lewis by searching the crossplayers, and also on Twitter. You change your handle more than I'd like. So what's your handle now, Lewis?
Once.
Have you?
I've distanced myself from. It was called Dr. Fact for a long time, and now it's just Scowler Wilson because I've got quite a scowly face. So
yeah, I can see that.
I'm just Scowler Wilson.
What was that? Why have you that Dr. Fact? Why did you get rid of it?
I just I just decided that I didn't want to use it anymore.
Oh, fair enough.
It annoys me that it's still my thing on Xbox, but I refuse to pay £6 or whatever it is to change my gamer tag. I'm fine.
Stupid. That is stupid.
But yeah, just it's good to change things up every now and again.
It is. Well, I'm always going to be Maxell Wright because that is my name and I can't change that. I could.
You can.
Once. Much like Xbox, I can just do one legal change for free and then pay for the rest. But I think I'm happy with what I've got.
Yeah.
Anyway, no more waffles. Thanks everyone for listening. I've been Max. He's been Lewis, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.